Hello everybody! And today's episode, we're finally at it! Kingdom of Rizia, Suzerain DLC. And today's episode... No, we don't need the Republic of Swordland. We need the Kingdom of Rizia. Story DLC. We are a semi-constitutional monarchy. Population is 40 million, so about the same size as them. We have the state religion that I cannot pronounce because I'm bad at speaking. Key exports of gas, gold, and wine. Alright, so we have different sort of stats than over there. And our starting date is 1950, which is 4 years before Rain's presidency even starts. So we're a little in the past. King Ramus Taurus has ascended to the throne. His reign begins under geopolitical strife, contention between royal houses, and demands for the reclamation of lost lands. Let's start the story. I have finished the main... I literally played it on my channel. Yes, I've finished the main story. What do you mean I haven't finished the main story? I've finished it, and and if you mean that I haven't gone through to the very, very end, I've done it not on my channel. So, stupid game. Monarch, your reign, your abode, your scepter, and the orb you hold, and in the ground on which you trod, all will be dust when you are cold. Victor Hugo. You opened your eyes to this realm. Becoming a king was never your choice. It was your calling. I have no idea what choices are important for this run, but let's see. From a young age, you knew you were no ordinary child. You were Ramus Taurus, grandson of Queen Lysia, ruler of Rizia, son of Crown Prince Velero, the Duke of Valancuriz. For most of the year, you lived with your father, Velero, and your mother, Estella, in a lavish palace atop the cliffs of Monkiz. Each summer, though, you visited your mother's common-born family, saved the queen at the royal residence, went hunting. I went hunting with your father, or your father's brother, Hugo, in the forest of Brennes. Your uncle taught you more than just how to hold and aim a gun. You learned the value of staying patient and keeping your eyes and ears open at all time. Every autumn you returned home, a little wiser. When Queen Lysia died, the whole country grieved. The mourning could only last for so long. There was a new king to crown. You remember two things about King Velero's coronation: the whispers that Hugo, now the Duke of Valancuriz, was actually the rightful king, and the shouts of protesters outside the palace gates. Alone with your father after the ceremony, you... I asked him about the rumors. Your father laughed and told you certain other royals had never approved of him marrying a commoner, but he and Estella were in love, and love conquered all. Sure, I'll believe him. Life in Porta Dresden was less exciting than you expected. You were tutored privately and rarely had contact with non-royals. At the palace, the closest person to your age was Pavel, the groundskeeper's son, a quiet but friendly kid who knew about every plant in the palace garden. I enjoyed bossing him around. When you came of age, your father invited you to start sitting in on the royal council meetings. You decided to join the military instead. At the prestigious Camp Damas Academy in the mountains of Montclair, you learned about war strategy and combat tactics. One day, the royal war counselor, General Tadeusz Azaro, came to visit. He announced a military campaign on Pales, a former part of Rizia that had long belonged to the Empire of Valgos. Now the Empire had fallen, he said the time was right to take the region back. I agreed that it was time to reconquer the territory. You weren't allowed to fight on ground, so you watched from General Azaro's headquarters as the Pale campaign dragged on. It seemed like an easy victory until your northern neighbor, Lesbia, got involved, sending weapons and financial aids. Dissent began brewing among your fellow recruits. begged him to crack down on the traitors. A few arrests were made, but the fire had been lit. The next day, General Zaro burst into headquarters with the news that the Navy had mutinied. Bloody clashes between pro- and anti-monarchists were erupting across this country. The century-old revolutions had reached Rizia at last. The king insisted you be driven back to the capital immediately. As you left Montclair through an unmarked car swerved in front of you, blocking the road. A trio of masked men with guns jumped out, quickly overpowered your guards, and forced you out of the vehicle. I tried to fight them. Your military training kicked in, and you put on a serious struggle. They shot you in the shoulder before you were finally subdued. As your consciousness faded, you recognized one of your captors' voices, Lucas Suzerain, Duke of Bernez, and head of Rizia's third royal house. A hood went over your head. Then darkness. They held you captive for nearly a week. When rescue finally came, it was in the form of a man with a white, blue, magenta flag on his fatigues. Welland's flag. At the palace, you pieced together what happened. In desperation, your father pleaded for the aid of a neighboring country, Welland, to neutralize the uprising. But their help came at a price. An agreement signed by both countries transferred ownership of Port Seal and surrounding regions to Welland for the next 25 years. You wondered how King Velero could have been so stupid. The uprising had other consequences. The traitor Lucas Suzerain was executed, and his pregnant wife was sent in exile. As further punishment, Isa, the capital city of Bernez, and the Suzerain's ancestral home was handed over to your family. Your uncle, Hugo, was sent to serve as a steward, and you were to take his place as reigning Duke of Villancuriz. At your childhood home in Montquiz, you focused on finding and punishing the remaining traitors to the throne. Your regent came to see you as cruel but capable leader. One day the king came for an unannounced visit. He brought with him a pale-skinned young woman with striking blue eyes. Hesitantly, she introduced herself as Lena Livingston, the sister of Queen Beatrice of Rumington, your wife-to-be. I kissed her hand. King Velero told you that he had no choice. With Welland descending into civil war, Rizia needed a new ally. A partnership with the Kingdom of Rumburg, cemented with an arranged marriage, was in the best interest of both monarchies. Besides, he added, you would surely grow to love her. He was right. You and Lena began having hours-long conversations about your royal upbringings, hopes, and dreams. By the time you lifted her veil, you knew it was true love. The years after our wedding and the birth of your daughter, Vina, were the happiest of your life. The only trouble was that your royal obligations sometimes got in the way of being a good husband and father. With Rumburg's help, Rizia's economy bounced back to levels it hadn't seen since the glory days of Queen Liza. Wealthy Rumburgians started moving to the cities, so did economic migrants from the neighboring Morella and Durdia, and Wessex seeking asylum from the Civil War. Yeah, we're gonna welcome the new arrivals, but we're secretly glad that few of them settled in your province. Many of the foreigners ended up in the province of Brenez, where a nationalist movement called the Suamina began, demanding that the king put Rizia above all. As the Duke of Isa, your uncle Hugo turned a blind eye to Suamina's activities, while his teenage son, Ricardus, became a vocal supporter. Where a nationalist movement began demanding Rizia above all. Eventually, Ricardus, better known as Rico, approached you about speaking at one of the group's rallies. Sure, I agreed. You threw your weight behind Suamino, increasing the group's legitimacy and following. Your parents were displeased, but said nothing. You slowly realized the uprising had broken something in your father. He began neglecting his duties as he became increasingly preoccupied with threats, both real and imaginary. Outside the country, gained a new nickname, Velero the Frail. You found yourself under more and more pressure to make up your father's shortcomings. Lena was patient and understanding, one of the many things you loved about her. For her 10th birthday, Vina asked you to go sailing trip with the two of you. You decided to get some work done instead. You were in your office when you got the call. The weather had turned stormy in the middle of the Gulf of Velazquez. When the captain tried to turn the boat around, it was hit by a breaking wave and cracked in half. The Coast Guard managed to save Vina on time, but by the time they pulled your wife out, she was barely breathing. You rushed to the hospital. She died holding your hand. Okay! Sheesh! You were devastated. After the funeral, your mother, Estella, came to visit and found you hardly able to function. You promptly moved in to help with Vina. Hugo suggested you turn to Riza's official religion to cope with your loss. In faith, you finally found solace. Meanwhile, the situation in the capital worsened. Rizian nationalists continued to protest the loss of Zeal, and the country's increasing diversity. Rumors spread that an anti-monarchist movement was beginning to grow once more. Your father called Hugo back to the capital to keep an eye on the council. You reasoned the king had brought his troubles on himself. Outsiders also took notice of the king's decline. One of them was Axel Reinhardt, the new ruler of the Grand Duchy of Pales. He sent you an invitation to visit him, on one condition: you were to go alone without your father's knowledge. I don't want to work with you at all, but I am curious. I would decline a meeting. It was your first time in Pales since childhood. You're surprised at how modern everything seemed now. Duke Reinhardt welcomed you to his palace. He said he was hoping to re-establish relationships with Rizia once you became a king. Yeah. Told him that would only you told him that would only be possible once Pales rejoined Rizia, where it belonged. The Duke was taken aback and ordered you to leave at once. Afterwards, you told your father about your trip. The king was pleased you'd stood up to the Duke, but furious you had gone behind his back. He accused you of betrayal. I exploded at him for being an incompetent ruler. As Vina grew into an intelligent, self-reliant young woman, your mother moved back to the capital. She called you one night, her voice shaking. The king was dead. He'd gone straight to bed after dinner. When your mother went to check on him later, she found him comatose in the bedroom. The doctors suspected a heart attack. I did rush to see him. Your father looked pale as a ghost. It took all the effort to speak. In a hoarse whisper, he warned you not to follow in his footsteps. I will not be doing that. Your reign would be a fresh start for House Torres, a new chance to take back the lands that were lost. Only after his funeral, gathered at the palace with your mother and daughter, did the realization begin to dawn on you. From the day you were born, your entire life had been leading to this moment. Now, it was finally here. Rizia Prologue, Ascension to the Throne. Completed the Rizia Prologue. Chapter 1, King Ramus. Alright. You know what? Yeah, I'm just gonna go with the basic one. Why not? Actually, let's... Yeah. You know, I actually am just gonna go with the basic look. Alright, here we are. Strategic focus... Ooh! So we got, 8 authority, plus 5 each turn, plus 6 per turn from Monarch Ramus Taurus, minus 1 per turn from Lost Territorial Integrity. Ooh, this is gonna get boring. Ooh, this reminds me of ooh, this is good. Oh, I like this. Oh, I love the look of this already. Like, actually, like, seeing, like, what's giving us stuff. Budget. Minus 3 per turn from administrative costs, plus 1 per turn from base income tax, plus 2 per turn from grace trade, plus 2 per turn from MITZ revenues, plus 2 per turn from RRG revenues, minus 1 per turn from military expenditure. And we got 5 energy, and we're gaining 2 per turn, plus 1 per turn from Rizian energy industry, plus 1 per turn from base Azirus gas field, plus 1 per turn from Nelviz Zar oil field, minus 1 per turn from industrial production. Alright. I love the look of it. Strategic focus selection panel. As King Ramus Taurus, you have extensive power to enact and shape the course of your nation. By choosing different focus options, you can improve the strategic direction of your country. Government structure attention. Opting for absolutism would solidify monarchist traditions, centralizing power and authority within House Taurus. Alternatively, considering reform aligns with House Sazan and the Rizian People's Party, indicating a potential shift towards a wider civic participation, perhaps nuanced resource distribution. Conversely, adhering to the status quo, you should uphold the prevailing balance of power and some provincial autonomy. We're going for absolutism, baby! Let's go! Economic strategy. A focus on shrinking our resource economy emphasizes leveraging our natural assets, safeguarding our long-term energy commitments. Alternatively, efforts to diversify the economy away from solely resource reliance aim for a more balanced financial landscape, potentially mitigating risks associated with over-reliance. A mixed strategy, on the other hand, would give us more flexibility. I do not know what's important for any type of playthrough, so I guess I'm gonna go for strength and resources. Foreign affairs strategy. In the face of global tensions, Rizia stands at a strategic nexus. Interventionism campaigns a proactive military stance. Appeasement fosters diplomacy with Wellen and courts the monarchy of Rumburg. Opting for the third way veers towards regional alliances, notably with Dirtia, Pales, and Morella, sidestepping dominant powers. Interventionism. Oh yeah. As King Ramus Taurus, you have extensive power to enact and shape the course of your nation. By choosing different focus options, you can improve the strategic direction of your country. Military branch focus. We have the Rizian Air Force. A shift in focus to the Rizian Air Force could position us for a potential area superiority. Like exploring advanced pilot training, considering expansion of our border fleet, we might enhance our capabilities for precision strikes and extend our bombing operation reach, aiming for advanced control in our airspace. We have Rizian Army. Directing resources towards Rizian Army could pave the way for enhanced ground operation, potentially introducing advanced armored vehicles, artillery, and modern infantry equipment. Embracing these tactics and training methodologies might elevate our territorial defense potential, providing opportunities to explore more strategic land campaigns. Rizian Navy. A strategic tilt towards Rizian Navy could underscore our maritime aspirations by evaluating the integration of advanced warships designed for naval bombardments and amphibious landing capabilities. We may set the stage for strengthened naval presence and a broader influence in international waters, or none. Opting against a specific military branch could free up resources for other sectors. This choice might grant more physical flexibility, ensuring a diverse approach to national priorities and sound physical management. We're going with the Rizian Army. Let's go. Yeah. So we have more manpower, more equipment, more energy, less budget, and we got Lena's wedding ring. But, you know, I think this will be a slightly shorter episode if we just go through the intro and get things set up. And we'll begin actually reading about what's happening in this world and learning more about how this story begins in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed this start, and I hope you're excited to actually really get into this. And yeah, if you are excited, make sure to like, comment, hit subscribe, and hit that bell button to make sure you don't miss more. And as always, peace.